The Israel-Palestine conflict is one of the world's most enduring and complex issues. At its core lies a dispute over land and identity. Both Israelis and Palestinians claim the same small piece of land as their rightful homeland. This has led to decades of conflict, mistrust, and lost opportunities for peace. The conflict has a profound impact on the lives of millions. Israelis live with the constant threat of terrorism. Palestinians face daily hardships under occupation. Finding a solution is crucial, not just for Israelis and Palestinians, but for the stability of the entire Middle East. The year 2024 marks a critical juncture in this decades-long struggle. The situation on the ground remains volatile. Political changes in Israel and the region have added new layers of complexity. Understanding the current state of the conflict is essential for anyone seeking to grasp its future trajectory. This essay will delve into the recent history, key players, and potential scenarios that lie ahead. In May 2021, tensions between Israel and Hamas, the militant group that controls Gaza, escalated into a full-blown conflict. The trigger was a series of events in Jerusalem, including clashes between Palestinians and Israeli police at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, a site holy to both Muslims and Jews. Hamas fired rockets into Israel, prompting a fierce Israeli military response. The 11-day conflict resulted in widespread destruction and loss of life in Gaza. It also reignited international condemnation of Israel's use of force and raised concerns about the plight of Palestinian civilians. The 2021 Gaza war was a stark reminder of the fragility of the ceasefire that had been in place since the previous conflict in 2014. It also underscored the deep-seated anger and frustration on both sides, making a return to negotiations even more challenging. The conflict also highlighted the limitations of international mediation efforts. Despite calls for a ceasefire from the United Nations and other world powers, it took intense diplomatic pressure to bring an end to the fighting. Israel's internal politics have undergone significant shifts in recent years. The country held 4 elections between 2019 and 2021, reflecting deep political divisions and an inability to form stable governments. The rise of right-wing and ultra-nationalist parties has further complicated the situation. These parties advocate for a more hardline approach towards the Palestinians, making any prospect of a two-state solution even more remote. In 2021, a new coalition government was formed, ending Benjamin Netanyahu's long tenure as prime minister. However, this government too was fragile and eventually collapsed. The political instability in Israel has made it difficult to pursue any consistent or long-term strategy regarding the Palestinian issue. The political uncertainty within Israel has also created a vacuum in terms of leadership on the peace process. With no clear direction from the Israeli side, the international community has struggled to revive negotiations or find a way forward. The humanitarian situation in the Palestinian territories, particularly in Gaza, remains dire. Years of conflict, blockade, and internal divisions have left the economy in ruins, and the population struggling to survive. Gaza, home to over 2 million Palestinians, faces chronic shortages of essential goods, including food, water, and medicine. The unemployment rate is staggering, particularly among young people. The Israeli blockade, imposed after Hamas took control of Gaza in 2007, has severely restricted the movement of people and goods, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. In the West Bank, the situation is somewhat better, but Palestinians still face restrictions on movement and access to resources due to the Israeli occupation. The expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank is also a major point of contention, further diminishing the prospects for a contiguous Palestinian state. The international community has provided significant aid to the Palestinians, but this is often seen as a band-aid solution. The underlying political and economic issues need to be addressed to create a sustainable future for the Palestinian people. Section 5. New Alliances, the Abraham Accords and Regional Dynamics. In 2020, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Morocco signed normalization agreements with Israel, known as the Abraham Accords. These agreements, brokered by the Trump administration, marked a significant shift in regional dynamics. The Abraham Accords were driven by shared security concerns, particularly towards Iran, and a desire to boost economic ties. However, they also sidelined the Palestinian issue, with some arguing that they undermined the traditional Arab consensus on resolving the conflict. The accords have created new opportunities for cooperation between Israel and some Arab states in areas such as trade, technology, and tourism. However, they have also raised concerns among Palestinians that their interests are being ignored. The long-term impact of the Abraham Accords on the Israel-Palestine conflict remains to be seen. Some believe they could pave the way for a broader regional peace agreement. Others fear they could further entrench the status quo, making a resolution even more elusive. Section 6. The World Watches, International Players and Their Stakes. The Israel-Palestine conflict has long been a focal point of international attention. The United States, European Union, Russia, and regional powers all have a stake in the outcome. The United States has traditionally been Israel's closest ally, providing significant support. The Biden administration has taken a more critical stance on Israeli settlement expansion. The European Union advocates for a two-state solution and provides financial assistance to the Palestinian Authority. Russia seeks to mediate the conflict, but its involvement is limited. Egypt and Jordan, with peace treaties with Israel, play a role in managing tensions. The international community faces challenges in finding a unified approach. Section 7. A crossroads, 3 potential paths forward. As we look ahead, the Israel-Palestine conflict stands at a crossroads. Several potential scenarios could unfold in the coming years, each with its own implications for the region and the world. The most pessimistic scenario is a return to widespread violence. This could be triggered by a number of factors, such as a collapse of the security situation in the West Bank, a miscalculation by either side, or a major escalation in Gaza. Another possibility is a continuation of the current diplomatic stalemate. This would likely involve ongoing low-level violence, a deepening of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, and growing frustration among both Israelis and Palestinians. A more optimistic but less likely scenario is a renewed international effort to broker a peace agreement. This would require a significant shift in the political landscape, both within Israel and among the Palestinians, as well as a renewed commitment from the international community. The path to peace between Israel and Palestine remains long and arduous. The obstacles are formidable, and the trust deficit between the two sides runs deep. However, the human cost of this conflict demands that we do not give up on the pursuit of a just and lasting solution. Achieving peace will require courageous leadership from both Israelis and Palestinians, a willingness to compromise, and a commitment to peaceful coexistence. It will also require the active support and engagement of the international community. The alternative to peace is a perpetuation of the current cycle of violence and mistrust, with devastating consequences for all involved. The stakes are too high to allow this conflict to fester. One of the most crucial elements in moving towards a resolution is fostering dialogue and understanding between ordinary Israelis and Palestinians. For decades, the narrative on both sides has been dominated by suspicion, fear, and historical grievances. Breaking down these barriers requires creating spaces for open and honest conversations. This can involve initiatives that bring together young people, artists, academics, and civil society leaders from both communities. By fostering empathy and understanding, such initiatives can help to challenge preconceived notions and build bridges of communication. These efforts, while seemingly small in scale, can plant the seeds for a more peaceful future. The international community has a vital role to play in supporting the peace process. This includes providing humanitarian assistance to alleviate the suffering of Palestinians, particularly in Gaza. It also involves working to create the conditions necessary for meaningful negotiations. International actors can help to build trust between the two sides by facilitating dialogue, monitoring human rights, and ensuring that any agreements are implemented fairly. They can also play a crucial role in providing economic incentives for peace and discouraging actions that undermine the prospects for a two-state solution. A unified and coordinated approach from the international community is essential. This requires setting aside individual interests and working together towards the shared goal of a just and lasting peace. The Israel-Palestine conflict is a tragedy for all involved. It has claimed far too many lives and caused immeasurable suffering. It has cast a long shadow over the Middle East, hindering development and stability. The pursuit of a just and lasting solution is a moral imperative and a strategic necessity. It is time for new leaders to embrace a future of peace and shared prosperity. A peaceful future where Israelis and Palestinians live side by side is within reach.